I sat in the dim light of my apartment, far from the house that had haunted my every step for what felt like an eternity. My body ached, my chest heaving, and my mind refused to quiet. Every shadow in the room seemed longer, darker, and the faintest creak of the floorboard made my heart race. Though I had physically escaped, the memories, the whispers, the hollow-eyed reflections of myself remained vivid, clawing at my sanity. I tried to rationalize it. Perhaps it was just trauma, just fear. But even as I closed my eyes, I felt the cold pressure of the void, the faint pull of the shadows, and I knew the house had left a piece of itself with me. My phone buzzed on the table, a message from an unknown number. "We remember you." "Lucas." I froze, sweat dripping down my spine, my hands trembling violently. The air grew colder, heavier, and I could feel shadows in the corners of the room, shifting unnaturally, moving where no light could exist. I leapt to my feet, bat in hand, scanning the room. But there was nothing, only the whispers, low, deliberate, taunting me. "You may have escaped, but you are part of us now." I realized the terrifying truth. The house didn't just exist in space. It existed in fear, in memory, in every moment I'd felt terror. It had followed me, attaching itself to my mind, my perception, waiting for a lapse, a moment of hesitation. I backed into the corner, gripping the bat, eyes darting, every sense screaming danger. And in that moment, I understood that the final night wasn't over. The house had become invisible, untouchable, but omnipresent, feeding on the dread that lingered in my every thought. I could feel it in the shadows, in the flicker of the light, in the faint echo of my own heartbeat. And I knew that the ultimate horror wasn't just the night I had survived. It was the knowledge that it would never end, that the whispers, the reflections, the shadowed reminders would follow me until my last breath. And as the clock struck midnight, a faint sound echoed through my apartment. Faint, deliberate, terrifying, and the whispers rose once more. "Welcome home, Lucas." I tried to steady my breathing, trying to convince myself that the house was gone, that I had survived, that the nightmare had ended. But the air in my apartment felt wrong, thick, vibrating with unseen presence. Every shadow flickered unnaturally, stretching and twisting in ways that defied physics. And I realized with sinking horror that the house had followed me, not in space, but in perception, in fear, in memory. I reached for my phone, desperate for connection, for proof that I wasn't losing my mind. But the screen flashed black, then glowed faintly with a single message. "We are everywhere. We remember, forever." My pulse raced, and the whispers grew louder, echoing from the corners of the room, from the walls, from my very thoughts. "You may leave, but you are ours, Lucas." I stumbled backward, bat in hand, trying to ward off shadows that had no form yet pressed against me with cold, suffocating force. The floorboards creaked under weight that wasn't mine, and the mirrors around the room flickered, revealing hollow-eyed versions of myself screaming silently, trapped, eternal. Panic surged, but I forced my legs to move, running through the apartment. Yet no matter which way I turned, the shadows and whispers followed, omnipresent, inescapable. I realized that this was not a physical haunting. It was a permanent claim, an unbreakable bond between me and the house, a tether forged in fear and reinforced by survival. The faint pulsing light of my ceiling lamp warped into the familiar glow of the void, twisting the room into the study, the basement, the warped hallways all at once. And I understood that the house had no true walls, no true space. It existed wherever fear could live, wherever memory lingered. I sank to the floor, trembling violently, whispering to myself, it can't. I survived, but the words were swallowed by the chorus of voices. "We remember, forever. You belong." And as darkness began to fold into every corner of my mind, I felt the cold embrace of the house, wrapping around me, unrelenting, and I realized the ultimate terrifying truth. Survival meant leaving my body intact, but my soul, my mind, my perception would forever be entwined with the house. The whispers echoed one final time, low, deliberate, omnipresent. Welcome home, Lucas forever. And I understood then that some horrors are not meant to end. They are carried inside, alive in the shadows of memory, eternal and unstoppable.